big question since the launch of the Quest 3S is how is it doing with sales so far? How is the Quest 3 doing? And unfortunately, historically, Meta has never been big on giving us actual figures of how they're selling, likely because the numbers might not look as good on paper or to their investors as they want it to seem for the VR space. But one metric actually pointed out by Nathy over on Threads was just the Amazon regional sales, showing over 80,000 Quest 3S selling just through their site, obviously not counting the ones bought through Meta or even potentially different bundles or sizes of headsets. But with that 80,000 plus being shown, it shows that it is a best seller on Amazon. And as we've discussed before, with all of the things bundled in with the Quest 3S that you buy at $299 and accounting for inflation, it's a much better deal than the Quest 2 was, which was wildly successful when it came out. We did just get through Black Friday and there was a bunch of specials there, but there are still some sales going on. We have a link that'll give you at least $60 store credit with it. And then of course you get the Quest Plus membership, you get Batman free. So if you're still in the market, you haven't quite made your purchase yet, or you're getting one for somebody for Christmas, there is still some ways to get some decent bundles on those, and I'll leave some links down below. But the big questions it brings up to me is, especially for people who still have a Quest 2, is a $300 Quest 3S really worth an upgrade in your eyes? Or are you kind of holding out wondering the Quest 4 is supposed to not be out for 2 years, but is there anything in the meantime that would come out that would still be better? We saw history repeat itself a little bit this year when the Quest 3 128 got discontinued and they dropped the 512 down to that same price, kind of like when we saw the Quest 2 64GB get discontinued and a 128 model replace it. Although with the Quest 3S being that cheap, I don't see it getting a price cut anytime soon. We just may see more and more better bundles like these that do save you money in a way. Although overall the Quest 3S is a top seller, its actual Black Friday sales volume might be lower than what we saw in 2023 with the more expensive Quest 3. Data on Amazon US shows that the Quest headsets didn't sell as well this Black Friday and Cyber Monday of 2024 as they did back in 2023. Where last year in 2023, about 170,000 headsets sold, around 146,000, or a 14% sales volume drop. Now this is Amazon specifically, and we have seen that Meta has been more ambitious to try and get people to buy them directly through their website this year. Target and Best Buy both had good gift card offers that could have actually driven people away from Amazon. But also you have to consider last year the Quest 3 was a big deal. It was a big upgrade from the Quest 2, so people may have been willing to shell out that $500, where this year the Quest 3S may be the new shiny headset, but it's not nearly as good as the Quest 3, albeit much cheaper. So people may be holding out or still trying to save and buy the Quest 3 rather than going for the cheaper Quest 3S. Data does show overall the Quest 3S is selling far better than the Quest 3 on Amazon currently, with Quest 3S making up 97,000 of those units and the Quest 3 making up 47,000. So it's interesting information, but it is a small picture of the entire thing only being from Amazon, only being compared to last year's data, which was a much different market of a Quest 2 that had been years old and was still being sold versus the Quest 3 that was brand new and expensive. Hopefully the headset will sell well enough that Meta will give us some official data on it sometime in the next year and we can know what's really happening. With Amazon showing the Quest 3S as a bestseller and a lot of them selling, it brings up a question: why aren't Steam users using the Quest 3S at all? Every month, the Steam hardware and software survey shows off for people who will enable the sharing what percentage of people are in VR headsets and breaks down by percentage whether those have gone up or down. And there is no new Quest 3S section on there. Although publications, of course, pointing out the Quest 3 did jump over 2%, and the other category, which has been stagnant for a really long time, also jumped 1.3%, meaning the Quest 3S could be landing in either of these categories or both. We've reported on the Steam hardware survey before on how the Quest 3 is slowly trying to overtake the older headsets like the Quest 2, and it overtook the Valve Index a while back, but still by far this shows a lot of Quest 2s are being used as PCVR headsets, and especially in that instance, you'd wonder if a Quest 3S is important at all, because it wouldn't necessarily run any better than a Quest 2, and it has the same resolution as a Quest 2. So to me, most of the people who would get a Quest 3S to replace their Quest 2 would be using it mostly in standalone or really hoping to use the new mixed reality and probably not looking to replace their PC headset right away. What do you think? Something that we've actually never talked about on the channel before and might even have some risk in talking about is the Quest and piracy. I see people showing up in my comments making jokes about it, but ultimately some VR enthusiasts are talking about how it is a real issue on Quest. Sadly, it's Bradley was asking developers, are they seeing issues with it? And some developers admitting that their game has 5 times more players than the copies of the game sold. Developers even asking the question, why is Meta not taking this more seriously with figures like that? It's shocking to me as someone who's honestly never really looked into any sort of measures like these on the Quest, but I will say I know that I have multiple Quests and I only purchased one copy of the game because it's running on all the headsets, and especially for multiplayer games, if they allow the same account to be all on one, I don't necessarily have to buy it over and over again. So I wonder if that accounts for these numbers. features, or at least a portion of them? Unfortunately, this is one question we probably can't discuss too much in the comment section below, but it's something that I'm going to start keeping an eye on more because it was really something that for some reason I just didn't think about, or I don't know if I assumed because of the software on it or because of Meta's store they made this harder to do than it is, but it sounds like it could be a bigger issue than we thought. There's a lot of big giveaways going on because it's the holidays coming up. We made a video breaking down 10 different giveaways right now, from Quest 3S's to Quest 3s to even expensive graphics cards. A big one we've talked about a couple times, you probably already know, but it's crazy what they're giving away. Trombone Champ, the game, just launched and they're giving away a special edition Trombone Champ RTX 4090. Retronica, the game, is giving away a Quest 3S. We also talked to you already about Gleam themselves giving one away, although that one runs 60 days and it's all of Gleam knows about it, so that one probably has the lowest chances of any of them. If you missed that, I'll leave a link at the end of the video here, but I'll leave some links down below too in case you wanted to get entered into any of those or you missed that video. The holiday season is a big time of giving and there's a lot going on, so check those out. And hopefully some of you out there from our community who've been wanting to win an upgrade or change out your headset can do that through one of these many other giveaways we found. One of my favorite things about the PSVR, and something that feels like it's sadly missing on Quest, was the aim controller gun that the PSVR had. Although it didn't have the strongest of haptics, the immersion of holding it in two hands, the way it felt in games was so good. Striker VR is trying to do that same thing for us now for the Quest. A VR haptic gun that your Quest controller can slip into the top of, similar to that one we got that looked like a real AR back in the day. Of course, not nearly as cheap as the PlayStation VR aim controller. This thing would be $500, and Striker VR is claiming there will be 1,000 units available for Christmas delivery, although most of them won't start delivering until March 15th of next year. This gun being featured for games like Laser Limbo, which we actually showed off a while back. We went to a convention, got to play that there. Not with the Striker gun, unfortunately. And Old School Tower Tag, a game that I believe is still free to play, but one that didn't make a huge splash. This now falls into the category of other expensive peripheral accessories that are getting better and better support for the Quest, such as the HAPTICS vests. But ultimately, for those who are really willing to spend a lot more, when you figure a Quest 3S costs you $300 and even just this gun is $500, or most haptic vests are at least $300 or more. What do you think though? Would the immersion of something like this add to your favorite games and make it worth playing for you? Or ultimately, does it pose the same issue I have with a lot of gun stocks, where it's something more cumbersome, more difficult, and unless the game really well supports it, you end up with another hand that has a controller in it that's just difficult to manage? There's probably not a ton of people out there in the situation where they have a Quest 3 and an Apple Vision Pro, but Figment XR is now supporting co-located multiplayer between the two headsets. That means the mixed reality can have two people in the same space on these very different headsets and play something together. Figment, of course, a drawing and sculpting app, but it's interesting. It shows in the video how you can be creating something and working together with someone, passing it back and forth. It's a neat idea and something probably you get more use out of on two Quests, and something that doesn't feel as surprising to be able to play together on Quest. But it's interesting to see some harmony coming between these two headsets. Behemoth is one of the last big anticipated games of the year, and it's launching tomorrow, December 5th, to a lot of excitement. We've gotten to test it a few times at different locations, but one thing that always concerned me was they were mostly testing it on PC or PSVR 2. Well, it turns out that it is going to launch still on Quest, but they are saying there's some technical setbacks and there's going to be week 1 patches to address them. The game was originally supposed to come back on November 14th. Now it's coming out December 5th. It sounds like basically they thought this could even delay it again, but they were able to recover. But now the PSVR 2 will be getting a day 1 patch and the Quest will be getting a patch within the first week. I can see where a company, after already delaying it, wouldn't want to delay it again, but this always worries me because too often we have games come to the VR space that launch with problems on day 1. The reviews are already in, people are already mad at it, and then they patch it later and the patch may fix it, but the damage has been done. From what I've played of Behemoth already, I'm hoping that whatever's wrong with it won't be that noticeable and the patches will just fix it quickly, because it did seem like it was working, but the things that I told them in my feedback was some of the choices they made were weird to me. Not necessarily game-breaking glitches, but like when you shot your grappling hook in one hand, instead of pulling to pull yourself towards it, you had to press one of the buttons, which meant your thumb had to leave the analog stick you were moving with and reach over and press the button, which just kind of disrupted your flow, I felt like. So hopefully they'll add those options down the road or even in that patch, but ultimately the patch sounds like it's there to fix something that's wrong. In a very meta style move, PlayStation VR 2 may be adding a feature now, well after launch, that they hadn't really talked about. Just like we saw on the Quest before when they added hand tracking through the software and hardware that was already built into the headset, it looks like PlayStation VR 2 is adding hand tracking as well. They're showing it off currently at SIGGRAPH in Asia, but controller-free hand tracking on the PSVR 2 is similar to how the Quest does it. It's become pretty standard across the industry to have hand tracking built into all headsets, even if it's not the most seamless or great experience versus controllers. But it's interesting to see that PlayStation VR 2 is still innovating and doing stuff, as we've all kind of been wondering, are they going to continue to further this, or does it feel like the tech is a little bit dead in the water, especially as we saw Astrobot come come out and not give us an Astrobot in VR like we did on the first headset. What do you think though? Do you have a PSVR 2? Do you care that it's going to have hand tracking? In other news this week, there's going to be some live streams coming up here on the channel. For those of you who've hung out with us for those before, you know that they can be a lot of fun. We had a record number of people hanging out with us during Connect here. And like Connect, I will actually be in person at an event this week. Thankmas, one of the biggest charity live streams of the year, will be happening live in LA, and I actually will be there in the front row. But thankfully, Editor John is going to be here still, going to pop in, do that live stream, help raise some money for the Samaritans, the Crisis text line, and then all of you can be here hanging out together, hoping to see if maybe you can spot me on the camera there. And even the day before that, actually, I'll be here streaming live the AI XR Awards for the year to see who the content creator of the year is, biggest headset of the year, biggest game of the year, and all those exciting things. So watch out for some live events here later this week. But once again, I just want to say thank you to all of you out there for being here with us this year. It's been absolutely amazing. I can't believe I'm going to be in the front row looking at Jacksepticeye up there on stage. It's pretty exciting. So thank you once again, and I'll see you in another reality.